Hey, everybody, welcome to the Soul Rehab Project. This is Sarah Saxby, and this is the podcast where we talk about truth because everything in our life has been a lie. And today I would like to talk about birth and death and how they are properties of the dense reality we live in. I'm going to explain this. And I want to talk about raising our frequency because this is a big thing that people talk about right now. Got to raise our frequency because it just seems so easy, right? You raise your frequency, you get out of this dense frequency band that we're in, and we call it a day. However, we're still here. So this is what I want to talk about, and I'm going to put it in a way that I'm sure you will understand. There are a ton of us. Most of us, I would say, have been raised in a way that we're born here, right? We know that. We were born to our knowledge, came into this physical reality for whatever reason. It doesn't really matter why you think we're here, for my point that I'm going to make. We're born here into these physical bodies. You have a life. Your life is what is here on earth in this physical body. And eventually you die and you leave your body. And most of us have been told that in one way or another, you go to heaven once you're done with this body. Heaven, for many of us, is a place that you go to where it's more of this light-free place where there's no pain, not like it is here on this earth reality, right? It's where you give up the pain, the body, the death, and all that stuff. Most of us believe that heaven is a place you go to when this is all done, you leave your body, you go there. I don't think there's any of us that ever thought for a minute that once you go to heaven, you have to immediately find a job, you have to go to school, you have to get married, get pregnant, give birth, you die, go into debt. No one thinks that there's actual birth and a death once you go to heaven, right? So if that's true, because you're in heaven, you're at a place where it's all there is. So there is no birth and death. There is no pain, suffering, any of that. You're done with that. You did that here in this life. So if that's true, that means that birth and death is a product of the reality that we are currently in. It only exists inside this dense reality. Birth and death are properties of density because this reality we live in has to be pretty dense in order for everything to look so solid, to seem so visually real, physically real. It has to be very dense here, not only physically, but in our minds. Because it's a reality that doesn't allow us to remember who we really are by design. So this band that we live in, this particular dense frequency band that we live in requires form. It's birth and death is not universal. Birth and death only exists in this dense frequency reality that requires us to take form. They're local conditions subject to this specific range. Once you get out, once you go to heaven, the rules of birth and death no longer exist. I think most of us can agree to that. So if that's true, if we are inside a frequency band where birth and death and form exists, wouldn't it make sense for us to raise our frequency enough that we are out of this dense frequency band, where we're not subject to birth and death anymore? You don't need to give birth in heaven. You don't need to die in heaven. It's all there is. So wouldn't it make sense for us to raise our frequency to a level where we wouldn't be subject to the rules of this particular dense frequency? And you're thinking, yeah, of course. That's what we're hearing all the time now, right? We just have to raise our frequency. Is there not a whole spiritual marketplace that talks about raising frequency? There's a whole spiritual marketplace that will teach you how to raise your frequency. You can meditate, you can uh, walk barefoot and touch trees, you can buy crystals, you can do plant medicine, you can meditate, raise your vibration. There's a whole system, a whole self-help industry that will teach you how to raise your frequency. How's that working out? Because all of that stuff is really easy. How hard is it to go to a sound bath? I'm going to raise my frequency. I'm going to go ground. I'm going to touch a tree and I'm going to go to a sound bath. I'm going to raise my frequency. Okay. But are you not going back to your same life as it always is? You do these things that make you feel lighter and higher, but you go back to the same life you've always been living. The same bad relationship, the same shitty job, the same identity. It's not hard to go raise your vibration by doing any of these things that the spiritual marketplace provides to you. That's the easy part. The hard part is getting rid of the things that are keeping you heavy. It's not about raising your vibration. It's getting rid of the things that are keeping you too heavy to elevate. The duality, the fighting, the arguing, the hierarchy, the bad relationship, the identity, the pretending you have to do every single day. Just because you went to a sound bath and did some plant medicine doesn't mean you are not going back to the same life that is keeping you tethered to this dense reality in the first place. It's not about raising your frequency. It's about taking the weights off. Where are the weights in your life? Where do all the weights exist? That's the hard part. That's the part no one wants to do. I'd rather go meditate and walk barefoot. Sure, go do those things. But you're still going back to the same life that's keeping you heavy. It's the identity that's keeping you heavy. It's the person you have to pretend to be every single day. It's the job you go in and you work 50 hours a week and you would never do it if you didn't get paid. Never. The person you have to pretend to be to get through the day. You have to shed the things that are keeping you in this dense frequency. You can't just elevate out of it. You have weights on your ankles, and those are the only things that people don't want to touch because that takes deconstruction. You have to tear apart your life. You have to free fall. You have to go, what the hell am I doing? Where am I going? I have no idea who I am anymore. Yes. That's how you raise your frequency. By getting rid of the things that are keeping you heavy. We can get out of the frequency that requires form. It's dense. It's heavy. It's like sludge to our brain. But unfortunately, you can't just go do a bunch of fun, easy, light things to get out of it. Because I don't care how many of those things you do, you will still have the weights on your ankles. And the weights are your identity. All the ways you have to pretend. All of the things you're told to follow because you're incomplete. You're not incomplete. People make money off of you being incomplete. How big is the industry? Your perpetual incompleteness is the best business model that ever existed. As long as you think you are incomplete, people are making money off of you. As long as you think you're half, as long as you think you're incomplete, as long as you think there's someone above you, there is no one above you. You are all there is. There is no one above you, no one below you, but as long as you think that, people will be making money off of you. If you find yourself in a hierarchy, guess what? You are a slave. As long as there's hierarchy, there will be corruption. If you are in a hierarchy, you are a slave. You're being brainwashed and you're a slave. because there is no one above you. There is no one to ask for help. There is no one to ask for guidance. You are all of those things. You came here with all of those things. You just exist in a reality that's making you forget it.